Good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening, or good night. This is Jen at JensArtyInclinations, a place to create, share, and play.
Hello, it's Junk Journal January time, which is hosted by Meg's Journals, and here are all the prompts with today's prompt, embossed. And so I'm just doing some really simple embossing. I had this lovely little dragonfly stamp, and I thought I'd do a little bit of embossing on the top of the pocket. And I'm using an embossing powder that it's sort of like a gunmetal silver. But yeah, I don't do a lot of embossing, so I thought this prompt was a nice idea to go back into it. And I just love watching the clear ink pick up the embossing powder. I'm not worried that I haven't gotten the whole bit covered there. And I love this magic of watching it turn. So it's quite an enjoyable, relaxing thing to do, embossing, when you just do little pieces. Normally I have like a big project and I get myself into a big mess, but here I just decided that I'd just do some really simple stamps. Use a pocket that I've made before, use a little tag that I've made before, and just do the embossing. So yeah, really fun. And you can see my embossing ink pad is a real mess, but it still works beautifully. And you'll see I'll get myself into a really big mess here in just a second. I lost all my embossing powder. So I had to tap it all out of the book, but it all was salvaged and it all still worked. So gosh, magic, right? So just covering off this other little stamp. And again, I like how that's just got a little bit that hasn't quite stamped up or quite collected the powder. And that magic of watching it turn. And oddly, it's quite subtle. I guess because it's got a bit of a black edge to it, this silver, but it's quite subtle. It shimmers rather than, does the really big shiny. As the final little bit on the page, because, it's nice if you do 3. Somehow that rule of 3 always works. It's one of those art tricks or design tricks. And this one, I just embossed off the edge of the page so that there was just another little bit of the dragonfly. And again, the magic, just heat embossing it till it turns. So I find if I hold it until it just starts turning and then I'll move it around. Got to be careful though that you don't burn your page. So because I'm using a clear stamp, I decided that I'd try and pick up the rest of that wing. And it did. So I was really pleased with that. A little bit of luck, trying to be as accurate as I can. But there you go, a little accident, and it was easily fixed. And once you're finished with your embossing powder, you just pop it back in your pots. So it's such a wonderful little thing to do. I mean, when we used to emboss when I was younger, we'd do it with stamps and hold them over the toaster. That's how I did my first ever embossing. So yeah, things have changed. Anyway, just putting some ribbons through the top of the tag there, stapling it in, as I seem to be stapling all of my tag toppers lately. It's just what I appear to be doing. And then I could just sit it all on the page. So I'm happy with how that looks. I'm not going to do any more embossing, but I'm not happy with how long that was. So trim. Down they go. I trimmed the toppers down a little bit so that I could see my hard work of the embossing. And I love these kind of pockets because you can just glue all over the back. They stay in your books really nicely. They're a ready-made pocket for any surface. You don't have to worry about things catching. So I've always got a few of these in reserve, and I love the little tops. So they're like a little library envelope. The little envelopes that hold your library cards, or that used to. Gosh, we don't do that anymore. Wonderful when you discover a library card in a secondhand book. But there you are. You can just see if I tilt it slightly, it shimmers in the light, but it's not over the top. And I'm quite liking working through each page in order in my Junk Journal January. I normally don't do that, but because they're all so similar, I thought I'd give it a go. And so then I'm bringing in the themes from the pages beside them as I go. So that little sea turtle went with the sea theme. Anyway, take care and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw today. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy.